Hey, thanks for taking the time to fill out that survey. Now, based on the answers you provided and the farmers and rural property owners we've worked with in similar circumstances, building thousands of sheds successfully for over 60 years since 1952, your number one shed buying struggle is something I call having a council shed application bottleneck. What is that exactly? Well, before I explain what that is, let's talk about the few reasons why most farmers or rural property owners who get held up in the council phase tend to struggle so much to get past this sticking point. Whether your shed building application is small, large, simple or complicated, there's one thing you'll most likely encounter, and that is council having a mysterious way of turning your application process into an almost never-ending uphill battle that only grows in either annoyance, frustration, or impatience, or all of the above. The reason why most farmers or rural property owners struggle during the council application stage is because they're not quite adept in the application process, and more importantly, don't have the experience to properly prepare the right kind of information for their particular council's needs. And if you're like the many farmers I work with, then you're probably aware that it's very common to have an application delayed in council for up to 12 months or even more after initially expecting a turnaround approval time of 4 to 6 weeks at the absolute most. Why does that happen? Well, there are many reasons actually. First of all, there are two kinds of permits, a planning permit and also a building permit. And you can't get a building permit unless you get a planning permit first. Both can have their equal share of hold-ups, and here are a few examples. It could be that you fail to display the correct layout of the footings you'll be using for your new shed. Ground compositions differ in all regions, requiring a specific type of footings for each type of ground. Additionally, you could experience delays because you haven't provided enough specifications on the height, width, and or length or construction detail of your new shed. Believe it or not, building and planning regulations change all the time, and what you think might get approved with flying colours gets totally declined under the new regulation. Another reason why you could experience a setback is due to an uncommon design. While, in our opinion, every design is uncommon because a shed should be specific to your requirements, council can sometimes decline a design they haven't ever seen before. There is a way around this, which I'll get to soon. Another possible cause why you could get overly frustrated during your application is for personal reasons. Yes, I dropped the P word. Have you ever heard the saying, "I did everything by the book, but they just had it in for me"? I promise you, this is true. It happens in councils all the time. Why? Because annoyed applicants who've been waiting with more than their fair share of patience eventually break and let their council planning officer or building inspector know exactly what they think. Here's a word of advice. Council members tend to feel a sense of importance and privilege, and while I do give credit where it's due, I've also learnt the following fact. Council staff don't like being abused or told what to do. When you break this golden rule, they have no problems making you much less of a priority. Moving on. A regular knockback could also be that you haven't submitted all the accompanying documentation needed for a speedy council assessment. Leaving out an essential bit of information can hold your application up for what seems like forever. And usually, unless you bug them over and over and over again for some kind of result, they usually reply to you long after their general council procedure time has lapsed. You see, the way most councils work is they put each application at the bottom of the pile and work from the top down. And there really isn't anything you can do to speed it up. Actually, there is, which I'll also talk about in just a moment. And when they do eventually get to your application, if you've left out one tiny piece of the puzzle, be prepared to do some extra council runaround work so you can resubmit your information the right way. It then goes back to the bottom of the pile. In a nutshell, the majority of council officers don't really jump for joy when you submit an application, and they definitely don't make your application a priority over every other application for no apparent reason. Basically, they're a laid-back group of people. That's just the nature of council. Although councils are doing their job very well by ensuring safe, compliant and good governing of our municipalities, they can also make your life very hard when requesting a permit approval. So, what's the solution? The solution is to make sure you don't leave out any important information that could hold your application up for extended, tedious amounts of time unnecessarily. This is so you only ever submit the right information that Council requires to assess and approve your application without delay. Let me ask you this. If your personal trainer asked you to make a list of all the things you ate this week, would you give him a list of the movies you watched on TV? Of course not, because A, it wouldn't be relevant, and B, you would have left out all the important information necessary for him or her to make a proper evaluation and recommendation in a prompt and succinct way. It's exactly the same with Council. If you leave out any information they need, your application will get delayed. With that said, I know it's not easy finding out what's required, then preparing and submitting the correct information that your council needs for approval of your new shed. Because other than what a builder or council staff tell you on the phone or by email, most people don't know how to get those credentials properly completed for approval. That's why we've decided to share the answer to this problem we call the Council Shed Application Bottleneck, and give you the heads up on our total quality and peace of mind solution, which is basically our way of cutting the pain and difficulty out of the council phase application process. How do we do this? By giving you access to our in-house administration team that will help you successfully make a council application for your new shed. Our team are at the top of their game and specialists in submitting proper applications that council love. They won't leave your application stuck in the tunnel and will help ensure a smooth and easy experience that won't drive you mad or leave you begging for hope. Council applications are what they know and what they do exceptionally well. This is how we help you avoid a council shed application bottleneck and enjoy the ease and benefit of a council shed application advantage. We don't just tell you what to do, we take care of as much as we can of the whole permit and legislation process for you, including engineering compliance and proper planning and building approval. And it gets better. You're watching this video at the best time ever, because for the next 30 days only, we're also offering a whopping double bonus offer valued at up to $4,200 on any shed you buy from Grant Sheds. This is a real off-the-shelf value of up to $4,200 that includes free delivery, valued at $500, plus a free strength wall cladding upgrade, valued at up to $3,700. To discover how to take advantage of our experienced in-house team for a smooth council approval and claim your amazing $4,200 double bonus offer, simply click on the button below now.